All right, we welcome back to the show. Joining us, Oklahoma Senator James Lankford. Mr. Lankford, thank you very much. You want to give us your prognostication? I mean, we heard Chad Pergram, some legislative Desjardins, but there's discussion going on between, I guess, the White House and Republicans and Democrats in the Senate. What is it? What is Mr. Schumer? What does he want? I mean, you're not going to change the laws, are you?
No, we're certainly not. And your riff was dead on, actually. What Chuck Schumer is wanting right now is to be able to use, quote unquote, the leverage of the political moment to say that they want to limit ICE, what they can actually do. They call it roving. They want to limit their areas of patrol. They want to make sure they take their mask off so that the protesters can snap pictures of all the ICE agents and go intimidate their families and go to their house and to be able to dox them. And they want to be able to take away what's called administrative warrants, which would mean that it sounds a little sneaky there, which would mean no one who's been convicted of a state crime. You could have 4 DUIs and you could have 5 assaults, and the federal agents couldn't go after them on that because it's not a federal crime, it's a state crime. So they're basically trying to make sanctuary country rather than sanctuary cities and to prevent ICE from going after them. No, we're not falling for it. We're clearly pushing back on all those things. The White House is in the lead right now in the negotiations with Chuck Schumer. We're willing to be able to talk about what we can do to make enforcement strong and clear and professional. That's a key aspect on it. Want to make it professional enforcement. But we also want to make sure that we're not tying the hands of all of our ICE and Border Patrol and our federal agents.
But I'm glad to hear it, Senator. You know, look, if Tom Homan can manage the troops, you know, along with President Trump and so forth, that's fine. Managing the troops, you know, coming in, coming out, withdrawing the right number, training, things of that sort. Okay, I'm fine with that. But not laws. I mean, we cannot go back to the open border policies that were so destructive. I mean, you know that. You've said it. I appreciate it very, very much. So is there this business about, okay, ICE, masks off, what are those stipulations for a bill, or, you know, non-shutdown bill, or what? How is this working out?
So here's the whole thing on masks. People look at the masks of federal agents that are out in the field and they'll say, that seems weird. That doesn't look normal. This is actually a response from ICE agents and Border Patrol and CBP folks asking of DHS to say, allow us to wear a mask, because what was happening was these protesters were snapping a picture of them, doxing them, putting out a message and saying, this person works for ICE. They're in this town right now working, which means their family is home alone, unprotected. They live at this address. And so then they send protesters to that house. So the agent said, for the protection of my family, actually, to keep these crazy liberal protesters from actually doxing their family and intimidating their children, that this is what they would like to do, is to be able to protect their face, to be able to guard their children. These liberal activists will talk all the time. We're trying to be able to protect all of these different children that are children of illegal aliens that are here, but they have no mercy for the children of ICE agents. They are glad to intimidate them and to be able to frighten them in their homes. So I don't buy into this compassion mercy argument that they're trying to give.
This just sounds like a thinly veiled attempt to get at ICE. That's all, to get at ICE, to stop ICE, to knock down ICE, to stop ICE from doing its job. So if you, I mean, Senator, with all this, and your clear-headed view, and we appreciate that. I mean, what do you think's going to happen? I mean, you can't allow what Schumer wants. I don't know whether there's a more or less than behind all that stuff. So what's going to happen?
So what's amazing is there were 6 appropriation bills, the Department of Homeland Security being one of those. They passed with 80% of the vote in the House. They were ready to go. They had already been negotiated, Republicans and Democrats. There were things that Democrats wanted in this that Republicans were fine with. For instance, more body-worn cameras on federal agents, de-escalation training. We're fine with all of those things. That's not an issue. That all been negotiated. Then Democrats, after last weekend, said, nope, we're going to shut the government down. We're closing down FEMA. We're closing down TSA. We're closing down the Coast Guard because we're mad at what happened in Minnesota, and they feel like they've got a political moment. So at this point, we're trying to move the other 5 aspects of the bill. That's Department of Defense. That is actually all of our public hospitals, everything else. We're trying to move some of that funding, take just the DHS funding and say, we're going to just temporarily put it on hold so it at least stays open. The problem with this, Larry, is that's got to be done by Friday at midnight. The House is not even here. We can't even get to a resolution with the Senate. So what the Senate Democrats have done is created this whole stir moment to be able to shut down funding on the most of the government spending at this point. because they're mad and they want something that, quite frankly, much of what they want is in the bill itself. They're just not willing to be able to tell their activists, because to their activists, they just want government shutdown. They just want to see something be done, and them yelling in the Senate that doesn't solve the problem.
Yeah, so, okay, so there's no end. So this thing's going to push through the weekend. Is that what's going to happen? We're going to have like
through the weekend.
some kind of mini shutdown, which, by the way, I don't know, I hope it doesn't affect FEMA or cleaning up for these winter storms. We may get another one up here in New York. You may get one down there in the Southwest, Midwest. So the beat will go on until next week. The House comes back next week.
House comes back Monday. Of course, they could come back sooner than that, but you know we have a big storm coming in on the East Coast, so we don't know if they're going to be able to fly in to even be able to get back in over the weekend to be able to come in sooner. In the meantime, we could have a government shutdown in the meantime. So that's the reality that we're facing. As I went through the airport in Oklahoma City earlier this week, one of the TSA agents caught me and said, "Are we going to have another government shutdown?" I mean, this is somebody that busts his tail and works. 43 days was not paid because Chuck Schumer was mad at Donald Trump, so he's not paid. He's dealing with the same thing again to say, are we about to go through this all over again because Democrats are mad?
You know, sir, I get it. It's funny. I've heard those anecdotes before. I'm not fond of government shutdowns either, having been through several in my time. But you know what I'm not fond of? 10, 15, or 20 million illegal immigrants crossing the border with gangs and sex trafficking and drug trafficking and murders and homicide. I'm not fond of that either. Now, I bet you agree with me.
I do 100% agree with you. That is what has been the signature piece of what President Trump's done. He has closed down the border.
Yes, sir.
He has stopped illegal immigration.
Yes, sir, 100%. Senator James Lankford, great state of Oklahoma.